going to take it himself, and he doesn't get in. Gets up and fires, and it's picked off.
I think I'm breaking every FCC rule in the book.
All the way! Touchdown, Cleveland!
I'm calling both games.
This is a special game in the NFL world. In the beginning, both teams were so dead on the inside that there was a true injury bowl. It gets better. The Broncos are officially starting Brett Rippon. If that's not a sign of throwing in the towel, then the Jets aren't brilliant in their incompetence. It's a 2-for-1. An injury bowl and the inaugural Tank Bowl. There will be consequences for more brilliant failure from the Jets. If they lose this game, there's a slight chance Adam Gase will be fired. Every Jets fan is now praying for Denver to pull out an improbable win. I personally am as well. Unfortunately, Sam Darnold disagreed. The beatings will continue until morale improves. I meant that for Darnold as well as the fans. Rippon's game plan was kept simple. Throw to whomever Pierre Desir is covering. He is a mask that cannot cover, a truly useless asset. Then Rippon tried pretending it was his Uncle Mark and gifted Desir a pick six. A blind mask sometimes finds the droplet. To think that a defense that generated 3 interceptions, tried to kill every single player on the Broncos, and had endless personal foul penalties was still held back. By whom, you ask? None other than the offensive genius known as Adam Gase, that's who. His play calling in the red zone, and after being gifted golden opportunity, screamed of a man either too inept to coach or one begging to get fired for the severance. It happened. The Jets lost to the equivalent of an FCS team. Incredible. Darnold will most likely be hunted as well, but this wasn't his fault. Gase is trying to fucking kill him. Jesus, at least let Greg Williams have that honor. The Jets are such great sports they're trying to kill Rippon on the final few plays as well. And you wonder why Vic Fangio has no respect for this fucker. Not firing Adam Gase. Your team's pathetic. A great matchup is coming. 2 3-0 teams ready to square off on a 120-yard field. The football gods must have thought this was too much fun for us to handle. Folks, we have it. The league's first COVID outbreak.
We got one!
The Titans may be successful on the field, but they probably had to pay for it with a few handfuls of players and staff contracting coronavirus. Due to new policy, the team's practice facilities have been closed until further notice and the game has been postponed. It will not be played this week, but sometime in the future, probably week 7. The Yinzers will not be happy about this. A week without Steeler football will force them to resort to criminal activities. Or even worse, they'll have to spend time with their families. Good God. Think of the poor children. The old rivalry is also here. Kansas City wants revenge for the AFC Championship game in 2019, you know? By that, they apparently took a page out of Lawrence Taylor's playbook and conscripted Corona Chan to give lap dances to the Patriots. Cam Newton, you poor fool. You don't know that she'll leave you breathless, and tasteless and smellless. He's out of action for Brian Hoyer. There was only one problem for the Chiefs. They got a lap dance from Corona Chan as well. They both have potential outbreaks, thus postponing this game as well. Maybe we'll get Tuesday night football, but incubation periods are a bitch. The Saints also had a bit of a scare before their match this weekend. And we're not talking about the 6 injured starters. A Saints player tested positive for the virus the morning before the game. There was more talk about postponement, but a second test for the player came up negative. Game on. It's a good thing they did too, because they get the perfect elixir for ailing offensive woes. Detroit. In their foolish ambitions, the Lions quickly shot out to yet another early lead, and then blew it just as quickly. What the fuck is defense? You'd think that a defensive guru would make sure his players knew how to goddamn tackle. You'd think a defensive wizard would cast a better strategy than get the guy with the ball. 35 consecutive points for the Saints put this out of reach. No Matt Stafford magic could save them. Even Drew Brees was confident enough to throw the ball longer than 10 yards on a regular basis. Lions fans should be pissed. If they had real coaching, they'd probably be 3-1. At least something's reliable this year. Baltimore got punched in the mouth last week. They looked flat and uninspiring against a legit Super Bowl contender. So the obvious conclusion to come to would be that their next opponent would feel their wrath. Baltimore meet the football team. They may be professional, but they are easy prey. Lamar Jackson slung the ball again and the defense imposed their will against a weaker opponent. Nothing more to say there, but Ron Rivera, we need to talk. I like you as a coach. You're a good one. But seriously, take the rest of the year off. Seeing you having to be helped off the field by assistants is depressing. Chemo is a bitch and it's probably fatigue due to trying to fight cancer. Focus on beating the fuck out of that. The NFL will be here for you when you do. It appears that those failings from last week's loss were more than a blip. The Arizona Cardinals and their picture of a winning team is slowly tearing apart at the seams. Today's issue is team defense. It was feared that they would be a leaky ship before the year, but today it was like they were missing the damn hull. They were getting gashed by fearsome backs such as Mike Davis and Reggie Bonifant. Teddy Bridgewater was less playing football and more pickup against middle schoolers. He could do no wrong. It was all but easy for him to pick the secondary apart without Budda Baker. Even with their strong offense, the Cardinals lose again. Kyler can only do so much for Texas Tech, you know. Your first win as a starter. It's special in the NFL. The vision you dreamed of since you were a boy. The only thing that eclipses this would be holding Lombardi's hallowed trophy. For Joe Burrow, that day is today. The fortunate thing for him is that no one apparently wanted to play defense on either team. Cincinnati accrued over 500 yards of total offense. Joe Mixon bulldozed the remnants of Saxonville for 3 touchdowns. This game shouldn't have been close, but the Bungles couldn't do anything in the red zone for the first part of the game. The Jags put up over 400 yards as well, but that was about it. They try to bring it back, but can't. Their tank is once again secure and Joe Burrow gets his first career win. Cherish it, man. Well, this is a rare sight to see. The Seattle offense, usually high-flying and deadly, has been grounded. They're having trouble gaining traction against a Miami team without one of their better defenders in Byron Jones. What's also uncharacteristic is the Seahawks defense stuffing an offense. The Dolphins could do nothing against them for the most part. An odd matchup to see a defensive duel in, but I'll take it. This game would be uncomfortably close for the majority of the affair. The strong majority of the West Coast tuning in hoping to see an embarrassing defeat for their rival. Sadly for them, Miami did not have enough. Russell Wilson found an emergency can of fuel. Fitzpatrick became Fitzception. The Seahawks escaped from the trap game relatively unscathed. I can't say the same for their fanbase's blood pressure. I did say relatively. You want to hear something funny? How about the Cowboys? Next time you try to preach the gospel about how your team is going to go places, try to figure out what defensive scheming is. You're going up against 2 of the best running backs in the game. What makes you think that they're going to run the ball? What a novel concept. Even if you could decipher it, your secondary and offensive line is such hot garbage now that it attracts maggots to fester on its misery. The Browns are smoking the Cowboys on the prairie around a campfire. They look complete. Dare I say they look legit? Did I just say that? Cleveland. Good? This is peak 2020. The Browns cruising to a 41-14 lead in the third quarter. Even for Mike McCarthy's tendencies to get carried by talent, even he couldn't come back from this, right, Cleveland? Cleveland? Are you going to put forth some kind of effort to make sure the game is out of reach? You do realize that the Cowboys still have gobs of offensive talent and you're turtling harder than one in Galapagos? You know it's within 10 points of a comeback win when you were up by 27? Fuck's sake, it's down to 3 now! Do I have to laugh hysterically at you fuckers too?
Mayfield on a fake, flip to Beckham, and he gets away. Now Beckham has room to run. Odell Beckham cuts back. Odell Beckham Jr. all the way. Touchdown, Cleveland.
Good. You aren't Atlanta. I won't have to shit on you for epic choking. Although this shouldn't have been anywhere close, just saying. A day in the life of the Chargers. You are the Chargers. You are underdogs against the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay hits first with a touchdown. Justin Herbert is back in. Holy shit, this dude can throw a football. The Chargers get a football boner for him. Tom Brady also pulls a boner. Pick 6. Bakery back in business. Good lord, Justin Herbert is torching this defense. John Elway is bitter with envy. Chargers running away with it. 24-7 lead. You're a Chargers fan. You look around. What's the catch? Simply run out the clock to end the half. Message did not compute. Tampa immediately scores 6 to end the half. LA's offense shuts down. Tampa roars back. Game now within 3 points. Go down the field to practice the San Diego special teams tradition. Tom Brady injects more stem cells into his arm to revive youth. Despair increases. Take the lead again on a passing touchdown. Hope somewhat renewed. Tampa responds with their own. Too late for a comeback. Vintage chargering. Pain. I don't know how you live with this kind of torment. To think we thought that this game would be between playoff contenders at the beginning of the year. Today they are teams hoping to climb out of the death pit known as 0-4. Minnesota's struggles have been well noted. Houston's issues with Bill O'Brien have been noted. The short and long-term repercussions will be massive in any outcome. There were many examples as to why both teams were winless heading into this contest. Houston is a trash heap. I can't explain it, but I can at the same time. The chemistry isn't there. Deshaun Watson is running around trying to not get killed. The skill positions have nothing special in them. The defense is practicing the zone scheme known as social distancing. I wonder what caused that to happen. Even the fans have had enough of this shit and are starting to have their feelings hurt. But why Minnesota? They have no secondary. It's a patchwork of hand-me-down flex tape and paper mache. And that was already the case before Harrison Smith got ejected from the game. This terrible pass coverage allowed Deshaun to try and carry the entire team to an ugly win. They're down by 8 heading to the opposing goal line in crunch time. Let's play coach for a moment. What would you do in this situation? Trust Deshaun Watson, trust Deshaun Watson, trust Deshaun Watson, or the 500 IQ play of keep trying to justify trading DeAndre Hopkins? We got here because of Watson. Let's hand the ball off to David Johnson 3 straight times. When the Vikings have no secondary, the insanity is boggling. And even worse, Bill O'Brien is throwing Deshaun under the bus for these play calls. It's his fault that you're 0-4 now? Are you shitting me? Come on, Bill, at least pretend to have a shred of responsibility for your team's fate. I'd say fuck it and tank, but your first 2 picks are Dolphins property this year. Should have fired him in January, Houston. Has there been a team that's dismantled an emerging roster in a more gradual manner than the Texans? Jesus Christ, if you were to tell me a few years ago that you had a potential franchise quarterback, an elite wide receiver, and 2 of the best edge rushers in football, that's something that can be built off of. But the Houston Texans aren't like logical teams. They tried to imitate the Patriots and failed miserably at it. It's firing your GM a year into his tenure and having no backup option. It's selling off your entire future for a blindside tackle who's due a significant pay raise while shipping off long-term pieces of the core for a mere pittance. A team that gives Bill O'Brien unlimited and permanent power deserves this fate. The damage he's done to this organization has been vast and widespread. Not only pissing off star talents and mangling one of the biggest chokes in team history, he doubled down on them repeatedly. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Bill O'Brien is a hack. The evidence I have to show? This franchise. Maybe Watson can make them a decent team again, but it's far too late, Texans. You can fire Bill O'Brien as a means of damage control, but the miles of wreckage are still to be weighted. For that, Houston, you are our lol cow of the week. It's an incredible honor. You'll be wearing it for quite a while now. Big Dick Nick is the new full-time starter in Chicagoland. Tales of last week's harrowing comeback are up there with 1985 in this town. They are free of Trubisky for the moment. They apparently got too hyped up on that juice. Indianapolis had a game plan, and that game plan was to crush the ever-loving fuck out of their offense. The Bears' offense was stymied at every turn. They had absolutely no answers for the Colts. Nothing. Indy didn't do much with the ball, but it was more than enough. The only points the Bears got were a field goal and a touchdown in garbage time. Now Chicago will probably turn on the appendaged one and continue the shuffle. All this for a stifling win for Indy. Look at how much chaos you've caused. The Raiders have their hands full this time. Buffalo is white hot heading into this contest and will be looking for blood. Not due to last week's near defeat, but just for the sake of it. Josh Allen is doing his incredible running back traditions of slinging the ball with precision and making an argument for league MVP in the first quarter of the season. The bastard didn't even run, he just torched their secondary all game long. Derek Carr tried to keep up, but simply couldn't. And then another friend of the Raiders pops its ugly head out of the ground. Fumbleitis. Turnovers were back-breaking for Las Vegas yet again. What the hell is Carr doing here? He channeling the spirit of his older brother with the Texans? Best guess is it leads the Raiders to another hard loss. Tough shit, it's against a team on fire. You expect to get burned. A week full of incredible offensive performances are on display. The Giants and Rams saw that and said, nah, we're good. If those matchups were interesting, this was the one that plodded along. It ran like trying to watch paint dry. The Rams either couldn't solve New York's awful defense or just realized that the Giants' offense was pure trash and chose to do the bare minimum to win. That or it could be how Belichick shut down McVay's offense in the Super Bowl. Either way, the G-men couldn't do jack or shit against LA. If it was anything, it was the lowly field goal. Even when there's a sliver of a chance to do something in the fourth quarter, the offense fails. First chance, a turnover on downs. Shot number 2.
Inside of a minute to go. Jones steps up and fires, and it's picked off!
I wish we had another Giants-Jets matchup to watch. The shit show would be just as fantastic as it was last year. On Sunday night, they only bring out the best matchups. For this marquee event, the loving audience gets to see another injury bowl.
Lost.
Philly was so battered that they had only one healthy wideout in practice this week. One. I'll play spoiler for a moment. This game lived up to such a billing. It was ugly. And I mean ugly to watch. Perhaps all the injuries affect gameplay most shocking. Things were looking quite fucked for the Eagles to begin with. The team was stalling offensively. They couldn't cover George Kittle. The fans wanted Carson Wentz crucified for his sins. But a young man from Santa Clara heard their cries. Nick Mullins suffered the terrible weakness of feeling bad for a team. He chose to give the ball away to the Eagles as a tax write-off on several occasions. Great for having a positive image in the community, bad for football. With his focus on charitable investments, Mullins was benched for the immortal and revered C.J. Beathard. I'm just as optimistic as you are. That's also when the Eagles desperately trying to give the game away as well. Something tells me that Doug Peterson wasn't the main reason they won a Super Bowl. Just a hunch. And this is even with Philly doing just enough to escape with a win. Now this shit show of an NFC East is Philly's to lead. Delete this division. Save us from this horror. There have been no further cases of coronavirus that have popped up on either team. The Chiefs-Patriots game will play this week, but on Monday night. So no Tuesday night goodness for the NFL to get the idea of milking more revenue out of the league. Probably a good thing, since when you start Brian Hoyer, you already know what you're getting. Very tepid, safe, uninspiring play. If that were even the case. Hoyer showed his rust throughout the night. A crushing interception, a terrible read on the final play of the first half preventing a field goal, and a total lack of production on the field. Belichick is here to win. The defense is holding their own, but Hoyer just doesn't have it. Enter Jarrett Stidham, the future. New England is gush with excitement. He hands the ball off impressively. He threw a pass for a touchdown. The Patriots are only down by 3. It's Jarrett Stidham. His extreme flaws are quickly picked apart by the Chiefs. In a rare showing, the Patriots beat the Patriots. Shame they didn't have Cam today. Maybe things play out differently with a legit QB in tow. Atlanta, this is why you don't choke 15-point leads in back-to-back weeks. Because if you managed to finish a game, you wouldn't have to be staring down the barrel of a loaded turret. See, Falcons, you get a special punishment today. You get pissed off Aaron Rodgers, and he's looking to pay tribute to General Sherman. With how his form has risen from the ashes of death, nothing will stop him. Not even whatever the fuck defensive scheme you're running. This is supposed to be a defense-oriented coach, right? If that's the case, why is this team still unable to cover tight ends and running backs? It's year 6! They made Robert Tonyan turn into Tony Gonzalez in the blink of an eye! To be fair, nobody was beating Green Bay today. I may have called them frauds last year, but they've seemingly fixed their issues in the offseason. They look damn good so far. The 4-0 record can attest to it. As for you, Atlanta, just get the fuck in the corner and think about what you've done. Blood for the blood god. Injuries for the injury god.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
May these offerings appease the gods for another week. Amen.